Hey everybody, Bobby Marr here, and welcome to. I'm back with Facebook Live. I'm trying to do a daily talk. Today, I didn't do one this morning, but I'm doing one this afternoon. I'll try to do one every morning around 9 a.m., that type of thing. Uh, and I want to talk about authentic connection, the power of connection, because that's something I'm really passionate about. I had a really great conversation today with somebody for lunch, and one of the questions I get a lot is how do you build that authentic connection and how do you actually start? One of the things I mentioned in my TED Talk, if you've ever seen it, is I talk about I'm able to actually, within 15, 20 minutes, create an authentic connection and get people to share really personal stuff with me, which ends up being a fantastic... thanks, Sage. You can hear me? That's great. I'm glad to hear that. So if you like what I'm hearing, by all means, comment. If you have any ideas or thoughts, comment below. I want to hear what you have to say. But the true way to build authentic connection is really a couple of things. One is really listening to what the person's saying and trying to understand how they're feeling. And if you're not sure, then ask the question. I always offer the question, so how did that make you feel? Or what do you think when you do that? Or what are you feeling when you're going through that? Asking those questions to really invest in that person is really, really helpful. The other thing, thank you, Sage. You're very kind with your kind words. And again, if anybody has any comments or questions on how to build authentic connection and how to start, because a lot of people don't know, in the initial conversation, what do you actually do that makes it work? And so, I want to start having conversation with you guys about this to help people figure these things out. And I want to share more thoughts on connection. So, one of the today my conversation I had with Natalia was really quite amazing. We actually covered a broad range of topics from body image to career transition to health and wellness and beauty and relationships. It was just really, really amazing. So I was really pleased to have that conversation. And one of the things that I do when I talk to people is if you really want to create connection, you have to be willing to share vulnerability. So I shared a couple of stories of things that I struggle with. And what was great about that is that, it really surprised her to see her first initial comment was like, wow, you're such a prolific speaker and you're so confident. I can't believe you have these challenges. I'm like, hey, we all have challenges. We all have dark days. We all have things we're going through. And so by doing that and putting that out there, she was willing to A, connect with me more and share, and B, share more of her own thoughts and some of her own challenges. So she talked about some challenges, with her friends or relationships or with her career. And we got to some really great conversation where I started talking about some insights and thoughts that I had. So when you want to start to make a connection with somebody, one is to really take the time to listen to key words and key nuances and key feelings. That's the first thing. The second thing you want to do is you want to really share your own vulnerability. So share a bit about, who you are and what you're struggling with. Because now, that doesn't mean you talk at great length about yourself. Yeah, I'm suffering, I'm challenging, whatever. Because, again, you can't drone on for 10, 20 minutes, which I think a lot of people sometimes fall into that trap. You have to check in after 5, 10 minutes. Okay, is that okay? And tell me more about you. I feel like, I don't want to ramble too much. What about you? But you put it out there and get them to talk about it. Now, has anyone ever had, again, I want to get people commenting on this, but so comment below. Tell me your thoughts on this. What do you do to create that powerful connection with someone even when you meet them for the first time? I basically briefly met Natalia at our DYPB event. I had maybe a 5-minute conversation with her, and then that was it. So we built this up. We had a great conversation today, and it went on a little bit more longer than I expected, which is fantastic. So you have to put a bit of yourself out there and not be so grandiose about, I'm me, I'm great. What about the things you're challenging with? Because then when you turn around and say, hey, what are you challenged with? How can I help you? That can go a long way. And then the third thing that I do is we had an email exchange back and forth, and she mentioned a couple things, and I basically said, I really want to make sure we get to those things you brought up because I think it's important to you and therefore important to me. So by showing this person that that they're important to you and that the conversation is important to you, they're more likely to have, again, a more open conversation and you create an environment of trust. So for me, like when it comes to creating that conversation, I'll ask those questions. I'll be very proactive. Again, going back to my TED Talk, be proactive about the things you want to share and how you feel, and even talk about the dark stuff. And make sure they're comfortable with it. Some people aren't comfortable with this kind of stuff, and if that happens, I'll change the subject. But for the most part, if you can have the courage to do that, you can actually have an amazing conversation. So that was the main thing I want to talk about in terms of how to start having authentic conversations. Because authentic is a word that's thrown out a lot, as is vulnerability. And I saw a post where someone's saying, "Oh, vulnerability, authenticity." People are just using these words, and you're right. A lot of people are using these words. So how do you make it in a way that's not like that? Well, I think that telling stories about things that actually happened to you can really, really help. The other thing you can do is really try to relate it to how they're feeling. You ask them for their commentary, what they think. Ask them for feedback, see what they say, and then really listen for cues to have follow-up questions, to dive deeper into a topic or segue into something interesting to them. And if you can do that, you'll actually do a really good job of that. So for me, like, I want to share some thoughts in terms of power of connection and how important it is. Whether it's an everyday conversation, whether it's an online conversation, whether it's with your friends, like, what are you doing to make it more authentic? Don't talk about the weather. I mean, yes, you may want to talk about people, like go Jays and go whatever, but you really want to get into ideas and emotions. I think that ideas and emotions are what really connect people on a deeper level. So that's the main thing I want to talk about today. Tomorrow, I'm going to start talking more about connection. One of the things I'm thinking of doing, and maybe you can comment below if you like this idea, I've been thinking for a long time to create a Facebook group focused entirely on connections. So networking connections, personal relationships, intimate relationships, business connections, friend connections, dealing with your parents, dealing with your kids, anything to do with connection. I'm going to call it the Power of Connection group, and people can ask any question on those things, and we'll create a discussion around that. I would love to have you part of that. So if you're into it, by all means, comment below. Let me know if there's interest, because if there's no interest, then I won't do it. But there's only a few people on this Facebook Live. But if you're interested, please let me know, and we'll talk more about that later. So hope you guys have an amazing day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And after this video, I'm going to try another one on my Facebook business page too. See you soon. Bye.